to episode 3 of the currently unnamed podcast. As the conversations continue, I'm sure we'll get closer to a title for you all. I'd like to welcome two of my favorite people on planet Earth, Danny and Pat. These are two guys that I've known since the good old undergrad days, and two guys that I continue to call great friends to this day. Danny is a cybersecurity engineer in the private practice, and Pat has just started working at a startup finance company in New York City. We talked about everything today. We talked about what's going on in the finance world, and of course, we talked about some COVID. We talked about humanity, how we got to where we are, specifically around the cognitive revolution. I'm not sure exactly how we got to that topic, but I'm sure if you all listen, you'll find out. So without further ado, welcome to the pod. All righty. Welcome to episode 3 of the pod. I've got two of my great friends here, Danny and Pat, and we're going to be talking about just life and like what we've been doing and what's going on in the world and just kind of giving our opinion on things. And, you know, Danny and Pat are two of my best friends. We go way back to the undergrad days, go out in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And then we were fortunate enough to be in the same fraternity. And then also we got to spend some time kind of starting our careers. We're all kind of in the business finance world in the DC area and then also in the New York City area. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time today catching up, talking to each other, using this pod opportunity to get to know each other a little bit more and just talk about what's going on in the world. So we're just going to talk about like Danny, Pat, or Danny, I guess you could go first. If you just kind of give a little bit of background on just who you are, what you're doing in life, and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks so much for having me on, Andrew. It's an honor, you know. And but yeah, I'm Danny, everyone. I started off. I went to school with Andrew here. I started off working for a big consulting firm doing cybersecurity. I recently took a position up here in New Jersey to lead a cybersecurity team at a bank. So I've been doing that, transitioning to the new job in the Jersey life. But yeah, it's a little bit about me. And yeah, again, talk to me on here.
Nice. Glad to have you, Danny. And Pat, you got that sick. You were showing us this the other night, Pat. What do you got? What's going on, man?
Yeah.
You gotta tell us about that.
So it's an essential oil diffuser, and
Oh.
I had some of those roll-ons before, and I thought I saw something about the diffusers, and I thought it'd be interesting to check out. And I saw it was supposed to be a lot better for you than candles, and you put like only like a few drops of like the essential oils in it, and most of it's water, and then it lasts like half a day long. And they have all these like different recipes, and I did I did the mental focus one today for like energy and focus booster. It was 2 drops of lemongrass, 2 drops of orange, 2 drops of rosemary, and 2 drops of peppermint.
Damn.
And maybe it was a little bit of the placebo, as we talked about with some other
I'm
stuff,
high as
but
fuck.
I was in the zone today. It was my first time doing the focus one, but
Dude,
yeah.
Sick.
So to go back to the intro, yeah, my name is Pat. Good friends of Dan and Peden, or Andrew, but I don't know if anyone's called you Peden, but on this. But yeah, so I went to school, JMU, with you guys and graduated quantitative finance, and I've been working at a company that's in New York City, kind of remotely for a fintech startup for about a year now. So it's a little bit about me too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, happy to have you, Pat. Yeah, this is for the listeners. This is our first time doing a trio here. We got the tripod here. We've obviously we've got our great group chat. We're catching up every day, staying in touch with each other. But yeah, I mean, guys, just, I don't know if I ever really gave you all much of a background on what I'm trying to do with this podcast. One, I was just like, I need an excuse to like connect with my friends, schedule time. We're all getting so busy. We're always texting, but it's really hard to get on the phone and like, better yet, see each other on video. I know we got to work on our next group chat, our next group vacation together. We'll get that done at some point. But yeah, really what I'm doing with this channel, again, this is episode 3, and I'm just really trying to have interesting conversations with people that I find interesting. And you guys are 2 of my favorite, most interesting people to talk to. So I was like, we've been talking about this for a while now, and I'm just so glad we're able to make it happen. But Danny, I know you're back in the office, right? Like we were just kind of talking about that, scheduling around. Like, what's that been like? You talked a little bit about your consulting and business cybersecurity work. Like, what's it like being back in the office now?
So it's pretty interesting, the first 4 or 5 years of my career, I was pretty much like I was remote at least 4 days a week. It's just kind of how the our team operated. So all my friends were in the office and I was remote. But now with the whole pandemic thing going on, I'm back in the office and everyone else is remote. So that's a pretty interesting shift. But it's a pretty funny little thing. You got like 20% of the people or so around like wearing masks around the office. Like it's not mandatory, so I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like it's not my style, but it's pretty interesting to navigate the office culture right now. It's like, especially being new, and like managing people. It's like when you meet people, I guess like rule of thumb I've been going by is like if they're not wearing a mask, they're down for a handshake. But like there have been times where I like put my hand out and like some weirdo in a mask just looks at me like what's this guy doing trying to touch me? So there's some little interesting quirks there. But yeah, I mean, I've always been more of like I don't want to bore people about work, but I've always been more of like an engineer, and this is much more of like a management role. So learning to like manage all these different types of personalities and like just handle much higher level shit. It's really cool, man. So yeah, that's what's been going on with me.
Pat, that's awesome to hear, Dan. Yeah, Pat and I haven't really had that experience yet. I can't remember the last time I was in the office. Pat, what about you? I know you've been going up to New York for a couple happy hours and stuff, but not in the office, right?
Yeah, so the first one that I went to, it was kind of like it was like the first summer meetup, and it was pretty cool because I showed up early and pinged the group, and the head of the capital markets team was early, and we met and got a coffee. So it was actually like an awesome experience talking to him, and he was employee number 3 at the company. So he took a big leap from bulge bracket investment banking to work at a startup with just 2 other people, and hearing his stories about how far they've come to where they got to when I joined. I mean, it was amazing to have that. And then the happy hour itself, this was kind of, people were people that wanted to get vaccinated were vaccinated by then. And I think it was the time when people were more, I guess, or the government was more optimistic about it going away, and people were pretty relaxed, and like everyone was, especially after everyone got some drinks in them, even the more people that were kind of a little more hesitant or a little more worried seemed to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah.
But then the last time that I went, it was just my team. And so it was my boss, the VP on my team, there's another associate on my team, and then an analyst. And it was really fun, like hanging out with just them. But the head of my team has like a sick apartment in Brooklyn, and he has like a big ass rooftop. So we just went there. Nice. And I walked in, kind of what you were saying about the handshakes, Dan. I walked in and I immediately went to dap up my boss and the VP, and they were cool. They were cool. I don't think they really cared that much, but my boss was like, "Oh, we're doing handshakes, huh?" I was like, "Oh shit!" Yeah. I think he was just fucking with me. But then someone on my team is a little bit more sensitive about COVID, so we just did a little hug. But everyone's different, I guess, about it. So it kind of like you, Dan. It's you just gotta play the part when you're interacting with people, because some people might care a lot about it.
Even people you've never met before, right?
Right. Yeah. The way a lot of people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, and I think that plays a role in how people look at this thing, and there really are just some people that are still super, super cautious, and you just gotta kind of be respectful of everyone's boundaries in this day and age.
Yeah.
I still find it kind of crazy personally that things are locked down, even though we have a vaccine that is, safe and effective, quote unquote, as they say. Yeah. So, you'd think that would kind of end, all these restrictions, but yeah, Pat, in New York City, you need a vaccine passport to get around, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that. From what I've heard, though, people, you can just show a picture of it, but I think it really is the principle of it. It doesn't seem like it's going the right direction. And then now with this, so Israel was one of the quickest countries to do the booster, and then there's been some back and forth with the regulatory boards in America about whether they're going to do it or not. But it just makes you wonder, how long is New York going to be like this for? And when de Blasio gets replaced, is his or her replacement going to run strong on repealing this? And for a city and state that prides themselves so much on diversity inclusion, which I think diversity is a good thing, but the highest percentage of people in New York City that haven't gotten vaccinated are African Americans, and I mean that's essentially, in my opinion, like a form of racism, because these people are being like, I mean, people of all different races too, but I mean, you're excluding like minorities from being able to participate in like everyday things like going to a restaurant because they didn't get vaccinated. I mean, that doesn't seem very inclusive to me, but.
Not at all. And this was I knew, because we all know each other very well, and I knew this was a topic that'd come up in our call. So it'd be really funny to see how the upload process to YouTube goes. I don't know if we're gonna get flagged for just even using buzzwords. We'll find out. And I'm sure you guys probably saw it. I don't know if we shared this, but like, wasn't there recently, there was an issue at a restaurant where there was an African-American family or some friends, they were going to some Italian restaurant. I forgot the name, don't want to call them out by any means, but there was an issue about vaccine passports, racism. There was, people were yelling racism issues, but like, to your point, Pat, just a debacle to say the least, just how this is going to scale out. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts, man. It's the time we're living in, but it's just like any other time, right? You got to adapt or perish, and we're going to adapt, and that's what winners do, right?
100%. We will. I know. I was actually just planning, guys, my first, I was working with one of my team members. We were planning our first happy hour. We're doing like Habitat for Humanity next week. And then, obviously we're going to do drinks afterwards. And it's just like thinking about what's got the best outdoor spot, making sure everybody's comfortable. Because like you guys said, everyone's different. But I'm kind of with you, Dan. It's really crazy, right? Like, we've got a vaccine, and none of us are doctors here. We're all smart, but not doctors. But like, I thought maybe it's just naming. Maybe it's just like a little misleading in the name here. But just the idea of a vaccine, you would think this would allow us to open up a lot. But I guess when we look back, what's it been? Almost 2 years. I guess we have opened up more, but like, it doesn't really feel like it in certain ways.
Yeah, we've definitely regressed since this summer. I kind of should have known this summer was too good to be true. Like, looking back.
I mean, I'll be the one to say, us three had a hell of a time down in Florida. We were down in Florida, had a great time. A lot of struggles during COVID, but we were able to turn those struggles into some positives and get some chances to hang out and have some fun down there. And it's just, obviously everyone kind of knows what's going on in Florida. It's just a little different ways of doing things. And we'll see how it seems like there's just kind of this country divide. I don't know. There's a lot of guys like, I don't know if you guys are kind of familiar with Michael Malice. He's a really funny podcast.
He's on Rogan here, right? Yeah.
He's been on Rogan a couple times. And he's probably more of the pessimistic side, in the sense that he just kind of sees this natural divide in the country, especially when you look at our big cities, right? The places we've all lived and worked, for whatever reason, it's just really interesting to look at that divide. So who knows where it goes. I like to be optimistic. I think they were getting to a better spot.
Yeah,
there are definitely things that come out, and we've all seen them, where it's just like, damn, like, didn't see that coming, or whatever. I mean, who knows what's next, guys? I mean, you guys remember when we were like, when this first happened, we were all like legit, like, shit, what is this going to be? Nobody knows. We're all back home.
The country's locked down all of a sudden, stay-at-home orders. It's like, what the hell is going on? I think everyone's freaked out. Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Yeah.
15 days to slow the spread. It's been what? It's been over
18 months.
Flatten the curve, right?
Crazy, man. Crazy. So who knows where we'll be in a year? What do you guys think? In a year, where do you think we'll be, Dan?
I mean, I'd like to be optimistic and say a much better place. I mean, so it's interesting, right? Like, I was just like reading pretty recently that like the FDA actually said that like people shouldn't get the booster shot unless they're like, fall into certain categories of like immunocompromised, I think they call it, or like 65 and up. And like, I think I sent you guys an article about that, but I was just like, all right, well, now they're telling us like not to take the booster shot. So like, I feel like the guidance is kind of all over the place, but a year from now, I'd like to think we're going to be better. And, like, I think it was Lex Friedman I was listening to on a Rogan podcast today. I can't remember if it was the one before that, but he was kind of saying like, pandemic's going to like end kind of like when it was Zuby. He was like, the pandemic's going to end like when the people say it end, like eventually people are just going to have like had enough and like, stop, like, just start living their lives again. And
did you guys see the Penn State game last weekend?
No, I didn't.
Like even like a couple minutes of it, or just like,
I did see a little bit of it. I was at a bar, yeah.
Dude, oh my God. I don't know how many people they had there, but whole stadium packed. I think Penn State's got one of the biggest stadiums in college football, and it was just fucking packed.
So, man, what is it, like 50,000 people in there or something like that?
I think it's way more than that.
I think it's way more, but I have no idea.
We need a Jamie.
Yeah, we need a trade. I guess we could Google it. Like, who
I'm
cares?
gonna look it up.
If anybody wants to look it up.
Yeah, right.
What
He's gonna
about
be the
you, man?
Jamie of our podcast interviews.
As we scale out, I like to hope, guys, this is one of many to come.
Yeah,
Pat, what do you
absolutely,
think?
man.
What
I
do you
think this is the
think?
best idea ever.
For sure, dude. I know
Yeah.
we got this Zoom restriction, which is like 40 minutes, so we'll have to play it by ear there. What do you think, Pat? What do you think we're gonna be next year?
Oh, so yeah, I thought it. So the Penn State Stadium capacity is 106,000. That's crazy.
Dang. Double what I thought.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
But I don't know. I didn't read this article, but I saw something online today. It said like latest models, like latest scientific models predict that like it's gonna like significantly slow down over the winter, which was interesting because last winter it did the opposite really. And when you think of it, like, well, it was also very interesting. There was hardly any flu cases last winter, but the whole
That is
like
interesting.
the whole like lack of like vitamin D and like vitamin D deficiency like alone was responsible. People that I think it was a majority of the COVID cases like were hospitalized were with people that had a lack of vitamin D or a
Yeah.
vitamin D sufficiency.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. And they haven't really told as many people, not as many people have found out about this vitamin D trick either. With I mean, I didn't even know that. I probably should or could have been taking it before COVID in the
Mhm.
winter, or just when I'm not getting like sun.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
I mean, COVID aside, that was like a good little tip to learn about for
Yeah.
future reference. But it's really tough to say. I mean, I'm hoping that COVID cases go down and we're back to normal, and maybe next summer will be even better than this one. So we'll have to see though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a great point, Pat. I mean, I think you like hit the nail on the head too. Like just people getting more aware about like their health, right? And like their own vitamins and supplementation. I know that was definitely, I think we're all pretty, probably not the best at it, but at least aware of it and kind of just understand. I know we're all big David Sinclair fans and we've been on a kick of that recently, but just kind of paying attention to stuff like that. And it seems like the messaging, I think it's kind of slowly catching up where people are talking about like, hey, get more sun, get more exercise, take vitamin supplementation that's necessary for you. And that kind of leads me to one of the things I wanted to talk to you all about too, is that the inside tracker thing I did. Because I finally was able to make
Oh,
that
yeah.
happen. Dude, you guys, Pat, you got to schedule, man. It's so cool. It's so cool. I'll have to show you guys offline, like my dashboard. But basically, and what was really fast. Well, so here's another tip though, Pat, when you do it is like, make sure you read the, I guess you'd call them the instructions or like the pre-work, so to speak, prior to getting your blood drawn. Because one of the interesting I admittedly had kind of a bender Friday night. And so I didn't go to bed till like 7 a.m., the following day. And so like, then I did my blood on Tuesday, and the results that I ended up getting, I could see it. Like my glucose was super high. And I forgot what the other marker was, but I was like looking into it and I was like, oh, did you drink a lot and, have other fun activities? And then, so that was all very visible, but everything looked great. So everything was in the optimal range. It's really cool, Pat, because all those biomarkers that it shows you, like across like I guess your metabolism, your energy, I forgot all the categories, but basically it'll show you a graph and it kind of just plots your results on there, shows you the different ranges based on like your age and stuff like that. And then if there's anything that they recommend, like supplementation, maybe adding, like one of the feedback I got was add more like vegetables to your diet, the variety, stuff like that. So, obviously it's only one blood test, so like one data point, so to speak. So you kind of probably need a couple so you can actually see how it's progressing. Who knows
Yeah.
how that bender impacted it. But again, like the super cool, guys. We have so many cool tools today. And obviously it's not the cheapest thing in the world. But when you really kind of add up all the things, we all spend money on every weekend,
Mhm.
beers here and there, going out, Ubers, drop a couple $100 on something that's going to help you kind of take charge of your health. I think it's worth it, but that might just be me. But yeah, you guys, Pat, you got to schedule it, man. It's super cool.
Dude, I'm trying
Yeah.
to get on this too, man. I mean, I've got a couple friends in the healthcare profession. They've all told me, like, they've all recommended blood tests. They say, like your blood tells you so much that, like,
Yeah.
isn't either visible externally or just, vitamins that you could be deficient in, etc. And I'm really, so it's called Inside Tracker, the one you did, right? I know.
Yeah. Check it out. Inside Tracker. Yeah.
Inside Tracker.
Danny, did you ever do like like 23andMe or something like that?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah. I haven't done that one.
Yeah.
Have you, Pat?
No, I haven't. You know, I kind of I thought about it for a little bit. I think my mom's done it actually, and yeah, no, she has because she ended up finding a lot of links to Ireland and a couple other countries in Europe, and
Mhm.
went on a trip with my dad to Ireland, and they went like door to door to some of their
Oh,
like
really?
second and third cousins and stuff, and they apparently they're really nice in Ireland. They everyone lets you in, like gives you beer, but
No way.
yeah.
And like you
So
guys know, I have a bunch of like second cousins in Brazil and stuff, like literally like 50 of them. And I've been starting to kind of like open that door and talk to them more. And like
You should,
I,
man.
I actually had a trip to I was planning on visiting them with like a couple friends in the pandemic time, but we had to cancel the trip. Yeah, one of my like well, one of my cousins, Rodrigo, he's like our age, and like I guess his parents are super rich, but like he owns like a bar like right on Rio de Janeiro, like right on the beach. So I've been like talking to him, like, but I think the very first time I reached out to him, I was just like, "What's up, man? Like, second cousin, how you doing?" And like, the first thing he says, he's like, "Do you party?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I party." Like, and we've been hitting it off since
Hell
then.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
oh
I
wait,
think Brazil's actually been in kind of like, I think they're one of the countries that's I don't know if they're not dealing with the pandemic as well or why it's worse there, but for some reason,
Wasn't
like,
there a president just in New York City and got like rejected for indoor dining because he didn't have
yeah,
a
he had to like eat a
bathroom?
slice of pizza outside or
Yeah,
something.
Pat, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, his son went on Tucker last
Oh
night.
yeah. Or did you
Like
you might have sent that or something in the group. I remember seeing
maybe,
that.
yeah.
That was too
okay,
So
funny.
two other things I wanted to touch up on though regarding Inside Tracker, because I know you brought up the ancestry DNA test, because I think you can link that with Inside Tracker,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And then you can also link, I was reading, I didn't look into this, so it just like just scanned by it, that you can link, I don't know if it was Apple Watch data or like smart data,
Dude,
like
it's so annoying, Pat. You can't do the Apple Watch. You only have because I was like so I don't know why. I mean, they should probably get on that. Seems like a pretty important integration. But it's like
yeah.
Garmin and then one other one. There's only two, unless I was being a total idiot. But I remember I was like looking at it because I was like, how do I sync this? And they didn't remember that Aura ring I used to have? Did I ever show you guys that?
nah.
Yeah.
Wait, is that like the? Oh yeah.
It was like that ring I would wear.
Hmm.
So it looked like I got it from like Forever 21 or some shit. But it was like that finger because it had it would track all my sleep data and shit. It was really cool. I lost it in Vegas, unfortunately, at a pool
Oh
party.
no.
Huge
Vegas will
bummer.
get you, man.
Vegas, I
Wait, were
get
they
you.
waterproof?
Yeah, it was waterproof. I just, I don't remember why I took it off. I don't know. We were partying pretty hard, but the
You
yeah, I
were like, oh my
lost it.
gosh, this data is so scary right now.
It's just like it's probably in a couch in one of the fucking cabanas. I don't even know what happened to it, but you can't even link that. And Sinclair's a big fan of that. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Pat, like we're just gonna see like over time more of that shit's gonna come out because it is pretty expensive, I guess. I mean, it's I think I got the top tier plan and it was like and like I was fortunate enough I had a gift card for it for my birthday. So it finally was like, all right, I'll just get it. And so I got it. But it was a few $100 for sure. And then I think Pat, when you want to retest, you have to pay like another like 110 or something like that. But I think you kind of do it on a quarterly basis. Obviously,
Oh
we're all
really?
still young.
Oh, so they kind of
Yeah.
scale the price down as you like retest. Oh,
Yeah, because it's my understanding that you buy a plan and then the plan provides certain analysis and covers certain biomarkers. And then obviously you need a data upload to kind of fill in the plan because basically your dashboard just blank. And
mhm.
then
Huh.
once you get some results uploaded, it's just all populated. And then but I think I think you have to pay like $100, if not a little bit more,
Oh,
every time you want to do a blood test.
I didn't know it was like significantly cheaper the next time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's pretty
so. I
huge.
sure hope so, Pat. Otherwise, that'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, fuck, this is like a special treat, like maybe
Yeah,
once a year at first for me,
yeah.
kind of thing.
yeah. Well,
That's
that's
what I
cool that
could.
they do that though, because they're probably going to give you recommendations, right? Like, I mean, say you're deficient in vitamin D or something like that, you can correct that, or take whatever
Yeah,
they recommend, retest in I don't know. You said quarterly, so 3 months, and then see
yeah,
the results, and that's awesome, man. It's
yeah.
tangible. It's
You
great.
know us. We're all analytics guys. Myself
Yeah,
specifically. It's like that's the field I work in too, and I just love that shit. But with anything, you more data points, the better, right? The more insight you can potentially extract. So we're all still young and relatively healthy, as far as everything's concerned. So I think I'll probably make it. I'll probably gonna do it again, Pat, in December, just because of that bender. And I like, for me, I was like, data's not pure. So like I want to
Yeah.
do like a fresh one. So I'll probably do
Yeah.
them again in December. But then after that, I probably will wait like 6 months till like the summer or something. Yeah.
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 But
Wait,
that's
so
what
was it
it is.
right after just a regular Friday night bender, or right after Vegas? Sorry, long day.
No,
I
no,
got
no, you're all good, man. It was a
so the Vegas level bender.
sadly for me, my regular Friday night benders recently have been pretty intense. So they've been like 6, 7 a.m. go to bed kind of nights. So like,
Damn.
yeah, it
An
was
RVA lifestyle, bro.
yeah, man. You know me sometimes, dude. Sometimes the night just gets away from you. But
Yeah.
it was so anyway, so for me the data quality wasn't exactly how I'd want it to be, but anyway,
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
really like how you're tracking your sleep though, Andrew, because like I think that's kind of like one of the deficiencies of the Apple Watch, at least for me, because like I wear it all day, I want to keep track of all that data all day, but then I need to charge it at night, so I'm not like
Yeah,
really tracking my RAM, the stuff like
yeah.
that. I really like to be tracking. So do you
Damn.
Again,
like do you
that's why
like
I got the
interchange
Aura
your
ring.
watch or like
That's why I got the Aura ring, Dan.
yeah,
Because
oh, okay.
for that gap, and then I
Yeah.
lost it. I'll probably get it again soon, but like I had a probably a solid, I don't know, 8 months or so of data, and it was
Yeah.
actually helpful. But you know what the reality is, guys, and it's like so much stuff, even with like COVID and all this stuff. It's like you can get smacked with the recommendations, like, "Yo, Andrew, stop watching TV before you fall asleep. Like, get rid of the blue light." Like, I
Yeah.
have a horrible habit that I got from like when I would travel all the time for work, where I just got used to falling asleep with the TV on, and now I
I
just
always do, sadly.
Yeah, me
so
too.
it's like these little things, Pat. It's like stop doing that. And it's like I don't want to, or like I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
gotta
fuck
compromise
you,
at some
app.
point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's tough. So like those are like and that's like I guess you could say that's the low hanging fruit, right? It's like just turn off the TV, dude. Read a book. So there's stuff like that, but it just kind of smacks you in the head, and you're like, all right, let's keep working on it. But the cool thing about it too, Dan, sleep's huge because like you, I do the same thing with my Apple Watch. This thing goes off pretty early, and
Mhm.
and it's also just I don't know, watches for me are just annoying to sleep with too, even if it's
Yeah.
charged the whole time. And the ring's so minimal, and it just doesn't get in the way, except when you're doing certain things.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like it's really
To run
chill.
you, if you don't mind me asking.
What's up?
How much do they cost, if you don't mind me asking? Like the ordering?
I honestly have no idea. I think I spent anywhere. This is a big range, 200 to 300.
Okay, yeah. First, I was thinking, I was like, it's
Yeah.
Andrew. Maybe it's a grand. I know Andrew always just
No,
pays for the
no.
finer things, but nah, just
I
messing around.
And
loved it,
is
dude. I highly recommend it.
you said it does. I think I recall you saying or someone saying that it actually like records your heart rate more
Yeah,
frequently than the
yeah,
watch too.
yeah.
And then another question too, because I was actually had the same like question as Danny earlier. I was like, well, if I'm wearing my Apple Watch like during the day and I have to charge it at night, and if I want to get in the habit of like doing that daily, but I also want to like track like what I'm, how I'm sleeping at night,
Mhm.
like would I just get like the newer Apple Watch and then just like rotate them, or thinking about the ring too? But
Mhm.
does all that data like sync to like the same apps, or
Mhm.
like do you have like one like source of it's like, oh, this is like the heart app that tells me like how my heart's doing, and you can like look at it like from like the whole day, or
Yeah. No, that's a great question, Pat. And I would kind of liken it to like, when we were back, we were doing our early CIS classes where you just like, all right, I got this data table, I've got this data table, we've got some prime keys. I don't know what the prime keys would be, but like then you've got like sleep data here, other data here, and you're just kind of joining data sets. But I think that's what like Inside Tracker's trying to do. And that's what I think is kind of missing from the market, or that market is evolving, is that, Pat, is like, what is that aggregate view? And I think that's what Sinclair is doing. I know I think he was on one of the last Rogans. He talked about having like this health score, or like, I know he is inner age, but there's something else because everybody wants to know, like, what's my number, right? Like, what's all this shit? What's my number? And then let me measure against that number. Let me try to improve against that number. So I think, Pat, to answer your question, I don't know if there's a market solution for all of that right now. The one I found is Inside Tracker, but that doesn't have the sleep data that I remember. Oh,
oh,
guys, I just got
Hey,
a
did you guys
note
just get
from
that little
Zoom.
pop up? We got unlimited time.
We've removed the 40-minute time limit. Love it, dude.
Zoom
Yeah,
is like, we
right?
love the content, keep it up.
Zoom's like you're canceled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Did you
they
guys
then
see that like the Chinese are
then
trying
it's
to
like
buy
just
Zoom
kidding.
or something?
Wait, what, Dad? What
The
about
Chinese are like trying to buy Zoom. I didn't read past the headline. I just saw it in the
Oh,
Wall
really?
Street Journal, but I think like the US regulators are like literally trying to block it. But I don't
Oh,
know, maybe it would benefit. Who knows,
China
man?
blocking it. Dude, what the heck is, quick, hard segue here. Like, what the heck is going on with China, dude? Remember, what was it a couple days ago? Or was that on Monday when the market just tanked with the Evergrande? What is it called? What's going on in China, Pat? Or Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're like about to default on their debt and they need assistance, and it sounds like they just like simply can't make the payments that they were supposed to pay. And I think it dropped like their stock dropped like 80% before China, even before China was able to halt trading. And Hong Kong's been like devastated. Like I mean, these poor billionaires, but like, I'm not talking about like the people of Hong Kong, but like these like billionaire like real estate magnates. Like, well, Hong Kong, it's a whole crazy story about their real estate is kind of like, it's like a group of like families that like control their real estate, and they decide how much land is allowed to be built every year. And it's like, that's a whole crazy other story. But yeah, it's I mean, yeah, that's a crazy story, but that's why like everything's so expensive there, because it's like a select few group of people that are the ones that actually pretty much do everything real estate related, decide how much real estate is allowed to be built on, and then they open it up for bidding, and it's a silent auction, so the highest bidders get the land. And but you don't know like what any other entity bid like
Is the
spent on the
government
bid.
jacking it all?
I
Or is
don't
that
know,
a
man.
tenet for them too, or not really? Or
I mean, it's weird, like, because like there's so many like different dimensions to Hong Kong. There's like the like extreme, like almost like anarcho-capitalist like mindset that was kind of like when Great Britain like created like Hong Kong, and there was basically like no taxes, like no regulations, like they could do what, I mean, business could do whatever they want. Like it's very easy to start a business there. And but it's almost like they're, even for like someone, I mean, I think regulations in some degrees are good, reasonable, right? But
yeah,
I mean, maybe there was just not enough there. But then you also have the People's Republic of China that's, slowly chipping away at like the rights, and like kind of like, because I mean in China, like, I mean, people have like property, but they don't technically own it. But in
yeah.
Hong Kong, there's ownership to property, but they're, I think what, so 1996 or 1997 was when the 50-year deal was signed. So like a little bit before 2050 is when Hong Kong will be completely Chinese, even though they're doing whatever they want to do now, and they've passed so many sneaky laws, conveniently under COVID, which ended all the protests there, also conveniently.
Remember that? Remember how that quickly just went away, right? I remember saying you guys. I know you
That
guys
was a
saw
huge thing, man. That was a big deal.
Those Star Wars things you'd see on like the news, where like the protesters would be like shooting lasers at like cameras, trying to like, because they do all that stuff with AI for facial recognition. You remember that, Pat? There was one, I think I shared with you guys. It was a while ago, but it was so cool. It looked like Star Wars, just laser beams. It was like a wild rave, but it was like, it just disappeared, man. Do you think, Pat, is there any lessons, or not lessons, but is there any, like, in your opinion, is there any foreshadowing of what's to come with us? Or do you think that's kind of China's problem? I know we're all connected in so many ways, but.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, China and the US like depend on each other so much. And I don't know exactly like what the like economic like implications of that are for the US, but it'll be like, I mean, I feel like, well, like the saying went like the decades old saying when the US like sneezes, the rest of the world gets sick, or something like that, where like if something bad happens in the US markets and like the rest of the world like suffers. I think that might be true almost to a certain extent with China too, because I think we sent around this map like at some point recently, but it's like a heat map of what every country's number one trade partner is, and it's like almost all China now at this point, like the whole country. I mean, the whole world.
It used to all be the US too. I
Yeah.
remember it had like a time frame of, I don't know, 20 years ago or 30, whatever it was, to now. It was almost sad to look at.
Yeah. Like we still are like in Europe, like we still appear to be like the number one trade partner in a decent amount of the countries, but China looks like the number one trade partner like pretty much everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're manufacturing everything, right? I mean, they figured that out somehow. I don't know if it's the child labor laws of lack of thereof or what, but yeah, man,
they had a smart plan.
Yeah, And it's interesting. It's like, what do we do about it? You know, like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, what's the deal with Mexico, Pat? I always think, like, to what Danny was just saying, I'm like, why can't, is there opportunities with like Mexico? I would imagine, I know there's already manufacturing in Mexico, and maybe it's just a leadership thing where China, like you said, Pat, they had a great plan versus Mexico. You know, they're just, you know, who knows what's going on in Mexico.
Yeah, and the whole thing with like the cartels, I mean, like they're like like they're like billion-dollar illegal corporations that are worth like tens of billions of dollars, if not hundreds. I mean, who knows even how much cash they have. And they have like military grade weapons, in part thanks to the CIA for giving them to them in exchange for information on the other cartels. Like, great
Yeah.
plan, CIA. But
Our CIA seems to be dropping the bag a lot recently.
yeah, right.
dude, these past few decades, man, there've been some sketchy things, man. Like, the more I hear, it's like, whoa, like, what? Like, it's unbelievable, bro.
Facts, dude. That's so true, man. It's crazy. That's what that's like I know we had the Great Awakening back in what, hundreds of years ago. When was, I don't remember what that was, 19th century, 20th century, whenever it was. But I feel like we're having like another one just with you know, I was rereading Sapiens, or I am rereading Sapiens.
Yeah, great book.
You've read it, Dan? Pat, have you ever
Yeah.
picked it up?
It took a while, man. It's a long book. It's very dense too.
It's so good though, Dan. I love it, man. I was just like thinking about it, and I was like, I want to read it again. And like one of the things, you know, that, you know how they break it down into like, they look at, I guess, the cognitive revolution, the agricultural revolution, scientific revolution, and then also, I guess, the industrial revolution. But it was fascinating because back in the, and again, I just kind of started it again, but they're talking about, you know, what separated Homo sapiens from other species within the Homo genus, right, or genus, you know, because sometimes we forget about that. Like, you know, me myself, you know, I'd always think about it as like a linear thing. Like, you had Homo erectus, Florensis, whatever, like, you know, the Neanderthals, and then it got to sapiens. But apparently, you know, that's just not the case. Like, we all kind of lived together, and then over time the sapiens kind of won out. And the crazy thing they talk about, or at least he argues in the book, is like there's a lot of other species and other animals that can communicate. Like, hey, like, you know, monkeys can make this call, like there's a birds above, or like there's lions here, and the other monkeys can differentiate that and act accordingly. But what really separated us was the ability to create fiction. So like imagined realities. So you had the objective reality, and then we were able to create the imagined reality. And now the imagined reality, you know, essentially governs the objective reality. You know, like these corporations and these countries, these are essentially imagined realities. You know, just like an LLC, right? It's real for legal purposes. Like, if the CEO dies, it still exists. If all the employees are gone, it still exists. You know, so it's like this really crazy thing, but it was like, that's what really differentiated us, is the ability to create fiction and to like
It's interesting,
right?
That's very interesting.
It's fascinating to reread that.
And then it makes you wonder, like, how did we get that capability over everyone else? It's like, did some UFO like roll up and like, look at all these different Homo species? Did we give the sapien variant a little 1% of our DNA?
I know, dude. That's what I don't like in the book, Pat, because he's very conservative, and he's like, you know how like you read one sentence in a book and it's like very low key, but you're like, that impacts a whole lot of the book. And he just talks about, you know, just the what do they call it? The accidental mutation. You're like okay.
Yeah. So the interesting thing too is like, I mean, I don't know if this, like, I mean, there was a certain point in time where, so like the monkeys and even like our closest relative, I believe the chimpanzee, if I'm not mistaken,
I think so, yeah.
They have one more set of chromosomes than we do. And at one point in time, those two, like, I forget if it's like number 4, number 5, or number 6, but it's like in the chimpanzee, they refer to that as like 4A and 4B instead of like separate numbers, because in those two chromosomes, they're separate chromosomes for all the monkeys on the planet. It's one chromosome for us. And at one point in time, I mean, this is like actually what happened. At one point in time, those two chromosomes were fused together. And that means at one very specific moment in time, there was an entity with one extra set of chromosomes that their output had one less set of chromosomes, and they were fused together. And pretty much a majority of like the things that can differentiate between us and these monkeys and apes and everything is in that set of chromosomes. And it's interesting. I mean, like, I'm not like saying like
that there was like, or is like the argument or the implication that somebody intervened to fuse them? Like, how did the fusion occur?
You know, I'm not positive. I mean, I wouldn't leave it out of the realm of possibility though. Like
And we don't
it'd
know,
be
right?
right. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, I like the idea of it. Like it sounds like exciting. Like it sounds like a movie they haven't come out with yet that I'd
Yeah,
watch 10 times in a row if I could. But
yeah,
um, I mean, who knows, right?
yeah,
But I mean, there's so many different like biological processes that have happened over time that are just incredibly marvelous. I mean, can't sit here and imagine like UFOs like doing all of that, right? So like clearly, like a
yeah,
lot of magical stuff happens. So I
yeah.
mean, it's just interesting. But
That is
were
true.
were we still planning on doing like two parts,
Oh
like
no,
switching
good
up?
point, Pat. Well, I'm so initially, I was telling you guys, and this might bore our listeners. Hopefully, they'll bear with us here. But like initially, I thought we only had 40 minutes to record, and then when we got that pop up, I was like, love it. So we're still recording. So I
Love
was
it.
shooting for. I was gonna just try and casually sneak an hour in with you guys. So
Yeah.
I think we're like pretty much 45 minutes in. Is that cool with you? I know Dan's got Survivor. I know it's dinner time. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that
You guys
works.
go like another 20 some minutes?
Always,
Yeah,
Andrew. Always for you, brother. But
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
do you guys ever think about this? I mean, this is a very abstract, like simplistic concept, but like the fact that like, whatever we were back then, whether it was Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, whatever, like the fact that like humans became like the dominant species when there's like, dinosaurs and all these like giant, like, or I mean, whether we were chimpanzees back then or not, it's, I guess kind of theoretical, but like how did humans, like the least physically dominant, like, was it intelligence? Like, how did we emerge? Like, is
Yeah.
there a scientific answer, or hypothesis for that? Like,
There's a lot, Dan.
yeah,
It's so fascinating. It's also, dude, I think one of the things, there's like two things. Like, one, there is two, it's like, I think it's just myself included. I think all of us. It's so hard to like conceptualize. I mean, 1,000 years, right?
yeah,
10,000 years, 100,000 years, a million years. Like
yeah.
what? The physics as we know it, what was that, 13 and a half billion years ago or 14 and a half? I always forget. It's either 13 or 14 and a half, right? And
Mhm.
then like biology. So then planet Earth is 4.5, I think, billion years old, or 3.5. I don't know why I was
yeah,
Yeah.
something
yeah.
like
Now I'm
that.
fucked up. I'm like, damn, which one? Yeah,
Yeah. I always forget if it's 3 or 4. And then it's like, biology on Earth, I think, is like 3 billion. Like, think about that. Like
yeah.
Crazy.
organisms have been around for like 3 billion years. So it's
Well,
like,
so
it's so hard to conceptualize.
so
Yeah.
I think from one of those couple documentaries on the evolution of human on curiosity streams, shout out curiosity streams, this is not a paid
Hey.
promotion. um but I think well, so our first relative, so there was like an extinction event that happened when the last like group of dinosaurs existed, and at that point in time our relative was only like they were like little, like almost like rodents, and everything
That
that
was
was like really
Homo florentis, Pat. They're the ones. That's when, like, basically, I forgot how, but somehow we were able to get from Asia to Australia. So Homo florentis, and I only know this just because I'm literally reading it right now. They're like the dwarf ones, the ones that only got to be like 3.5 feet.
Wow.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
I think what was it called? Australopithecus was like the one from like 9 or 10 million years ago that was the one that first stood up, was that had bipedalism or something, and they would
Mm.
like spend a lot of their times in like trees and in like, I don't want to butcher this, either southern Africa or the eastern side of Africa, and I guess gradually like started like adapting more to like being on the land and like being able to like hunt, and they like started like using like teamwork and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, they all had their advantages and disadvantages. Like, the one that comes to mind the most was the Neanderthals, because they were
Mm.
big, strong, but like they didn't have the same ability with language, and they didn't have the same ability, from my understanding, just to conceptualize stuff. Again, to create that imagined reality. And I think, Dan, to your question, I think that was the big differentiator.
The imagined
That era.
reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So that was the big difference. And from what I've read, I don't know what caused that, but it seems to be like, because a lot of times, we think about, the alpha male, right? Because we've throughout history, like, why we look to politicians the way we do, all that good stuff. And like, I think we found, if you look back in history, just biological history, you can see like being that alpha male is good, but it only takes you so far, right? Like if you play this aggression power play in every game over and over again, you're going to eventually lose, right? Because other people underneath you are going to be like, fuck this guy, like don't like this guy, or like whatever. He's hogging all the resources, he's hogging all the mates. And so this ability to like be a team essentially is, I think, what really took us to the next level. Because like one-on-one, we obviously can't fight a tiger. We can't even, it's very difficult for us. We're very frail for the most part. Even like the strongest dude, like he can't take an ape. He can't do anything against an ape. So like our ability to like, coalesce as teams, to think creatively, and then also to think about tomorrow, so like not that immediate, like, oh, I'm hungry, I got to eat, but also like, I got to collect food for when I can't find food, and stuff like that. I think from what I understand, Dan, about like Sapiens and what I've read and stuff, is like that's seems to be like one of our biggest, wise man. That's our biggest differentiator from what I've read.
And then probably the ability to create tools had to be huge in there, right? And that goes to your point of teamwork, I think, like people coming together and being like, hey, we can sharpen this rock.
Well, tools is interesting, Dan. Tools are interesting because Homo, is it erectus? Like, I don't know why, I just always kind of like laugh.
Dude, you got me. I want to read Sapiens so bad right now.
But tools have been around for a while. Sapiens are not the one. Yeah, you reread it, Dan. It's such a great read because it's like a textbook / like, it reads smoother and it's got more of a dynamic feel than most textbooks, in my opinion. But we've been using the species, us as a species, Sapiens. We're not the first Homo of the Homo genus to use tools. Tools have been around for a while. I guess more advanced tools probably, but like it's wild, dude. It's wild, man. And even now we've seen, like, recently you see some like crazy things where like monkeys are like throwing spears at fish. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen those in the past year or so.
You guys see like
Rogan or something.
Yeah, and obviously you guys saw the Neuralink thing. I think I sent it to you guys, where like Elon Musk got like I think he implanted a chip into its brain. That's what he did. But like the monkey became smart enough to like play a video game and like beat like computers and like some absolutely insane, man. I wonder where that's going. Thank God for that guy, man. He's a hero.
I know, dude. We're all kind of. I know you and I. Actually, I think Tafay's a fan. I don't know if I know Dan and I are big fans.
All crypto aside, bet.
Yeah, all crypto. Like, dude, it's so funny because I'll have friends that'll be like, oh, Andrew just loves money, and I'm like, on and on. First of all, these aren't the smartest friends in the world of mine, but it's just like, dude, how can you objectively like not understand his contribution to like humanity? Like,
right.
To be like he's just an average Joe, it's like can't even have that conversation.
Literally like saving the planet through like climate change and environmental things, while simultaneously preparing us for a departure to like Mars for when the planet is inevitably inhabitable. Like we need more minds like that, man. We need more people like that to speak up. I think it's like a lot of like introverted weirdos, if you will. I love the weirdos. I think I've always kind of found I fit into with weirdos and like exactly This is change the world. You got to be crazy to change the world. You
have to be. If you're not doing something cool, if people are hating on you, it's because you're doing, not always, but like a lot of in this case, it's just because a lot of times, in my opinion, when people have like such disdain or hatred for somebody they've never met, it's always so fascinating to me, just psychologically, because I'm just like, what is driving that? Like I mean, when I was younger, so maybe when I was more insecure, a little, less understanding of who I am, I had more
grown up, right?
Like, oh, I hate this thing. Like, it's like, but then as I got older and I started being aware of it, I was like, wait, why? Why do I have such hatred for somebody I've never met? Literally, and it seems to me to be like this mirroring thing where people kind of are jealous of certain attributes, maybe not of everything, but of like certain attributes, whether it's success, I don't know, athletic ability, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
I feel the same way about it, except for Dr. Antoine Fauci.
Antoine,
he's my free pass to hatred. Changes his mind about everything.
I totally get it, man. Yeah, once you stop talking. Dude.
I mean, I think that's one of the problems with how we're handling this pandemic, right? Like, there's just so much conflicting information coming out. Like, Fauci says one thing, but then, with his email leaks, like he's telling people that masks aren't even preventing. Like, they aren't going to.
Did you guys see, Dan? Sorry to cut you off, but the best example of this. Did you get Pat? Have you ever seen, or either of you ever seen Dave Rubenstein's show he does?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
I like
now.
him.
Okay, I'll have to send you this clip after, Dan. It's so freaking funny because well, Dave Rubenstein, he's the guy needs no introduction, just crazy successful like private equity guy, right, Pat? And
Mhm.
he just has a show where he just talks to like famous and really influential people in business and life. And
That's
he had
snap.
Fauci on. Yeah, it's really, Dan, you would love it. It's a really cool show.
Yeah.
And he had I guess he had Fauci on like right before the pandy. And so
Mhm.
Rubenstein's kind of a germaphobe, kind of like a hypochondriac a little bit. And
Mhm.
I got off to send it to you because I'm curious on the date now that I think about it. But basically, he was talking about, Rubenstein was talking about viruses. He's like, what do I got to do? And I can't remember if it was specific to COVID. I can't, man, I wish I remembered. But basically, he was saying, like, what do I need to do to not get sick? Yada, yada. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Fauci's like, he's like, cut the theatrics, like, cut the theatrics. He's like, you don't need to
Yeah,
be wearing a mask. He's like, wash your hands, like, do all the normal stuff. He's like, you don't need to do. It's everything that they have. The administration essentially has said the opposite of, and it's like, you're just like, what?
yeah. You're
Dude.
like,
Dude.
I don't know. I think I might have shared this recently. This was like within the past like week or maybe even a few days where this happened. But Fauci was on CNN and they brought up the Israel data about how they, they are one of the highest vaccinated populations and they've already
Yeah,
deployed the
and they're
booster. Like,
boostering. Yeah.
yeah, and in lieu or like kind of recently, like almost like directly after they had their booster, they've had the highest case count ever in the pandemic, like before the vaccine, before the booster, everything. And
Yeah.
they asked Fauci like some question about, or wait, was it about that or was it? I'm butchering this. I don't know if it was about that or if it was about. Oh no, it was about. Sorry, that was a separate thing. It was about natural immunity. They put him on the spot about natural immunity. They were like, Fauci, like there's like all these like places that are requiring people to get vaccinations, regardless of their previous COVID experience or not. And there's all this data about the natural immunity. Like, what's your stance? Like, and he like didn't have any comment, even though even CNN was like saying that like you do have a lot of like immunity from
Yeah.
COVID without the, if you haven't already had it versus like the vax. He like refused to say anything. It's like, come on, like you don't
Yeah.
have any, like you've been making things up this whole time. Like, why can't you like make something up for this one too? Like,
Yeah. I think that's where
Dude.
that required, like that word required, like I mean, that's kind of what made this, amongst other things, might be taking a big leap here for me, but I think it's still valid. It's like, that's what made this country so fucking unique, dude. It
What
was
it was
like,
founded upon, Andrew.
yeah, dude. These
Literally the
anytime
principles that
somebody's like,
separate
you
us.
have to, right?
Yeah.
Like, think about if you guys, we all probably done this at some point in work where we design process flows. Like, how do you get something from start to finish for whatever the task is? And
Mhm.
like, you're always gonna have exception flows. You're always gonna have an alternate path. Like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And like, imagine like drawing these process flows and be like, nope, required, you have to do this. And then you're like, well, what happens if this happens? Or what if somebody has natural immunity? Or what if the medical exemption? And they're like, nope, you have to go this. It would just break every time. And I think that's what we're seeing, right? Is we're just seeing all these stupid things where you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Right. So like these mandates, these requirements, I think everyone here, to speak for you guys, it's like, if you want to get the vaccine, if you feel that's the appropriate thing for your health journey, you or your families or whoever's, go for it. Absolutely, 100%. Just like
Mhm.
how we take advantage of taking supplementation or doing certain things in our lifestyles, you have the freedom to do that. But whenever you start drawing these, you're required, shut up, I don't want to hear it, you're required. Dude, it just
yeah,
never works. It never works.
It's crazy,
Like, when
man.
does it ever work? Like, it's not even hyperbolic. Like, when has it ever worked in history?
Yeah, right. And it's like they're not like requiring like people to be vaccinated against like measles or like these like super like life-threatening things that like actually, it's like they're
Yeah.
only looking at
it's
like
a good point.
COVID. One statistic that really threw me off, like, or at least that really had me just start asking questions. No matter what you believe, I think you should question everything, right? But like, is that like the average age? I think this is in the U.S. and almost every country of like a COVID death rate, like someone who died from the coronavirus is like higher than the average age of somebody that just died, regularly. So it's like, if that doesn't make you think, I don't know what does. I probably didn't articulate that well. Like I told you guys, I had a
Yeah,
long.
say it again, Dan. No, that's all good.
No, just like the average age of somebody who died from coronavirus, I think is like 80, I don't know, 485 is ballpark. And then the average age of just death in the US, like prior to that, it's like 81 or 82. It's like 4 years older. So it's like, these people are probably just dying because they're older, like
That
sounds like
the thing yeah, and then what I get from that stat is like, yeah, if you're in an at-risk population, if you're in your 80s, like, yeah, this is a legit thing that you got to be concerned with.
Oh yeah, I think anyone over 65 should get it. If you're looking at the numbers, that's when your kind of survival rate starts to
And
drop.
then we go down the age train here, and then we look at kids in preschool being forced to wear masks, and you're like, what?
Man, I saw this one girl in DC I used to work with. I think she posted something on Instagram. So neither of her kids tested positive for COVID, but some kid in the class had COVID. So not only do her kids have to quarantine despite testing negative, but the city of DC is also like requiring her to do like a stay-at-home thing. So she's not supposed to leave her house for like 10 days, and like apparently has like someone to come in and check on her. DC is like one of the most crazy liberal, if you will. It's crazy how politicized this thing is too. It's
So
like
politicized, right?
Right? Like
it's just like these requirements, dude, are just too funny, man. Because like you can go jump out of a plane, right? You can do that, right? You could do that. We could sit here and drink as many of these as we want till we die.
Yeah.
That's why it's just weird, that's not what made, I hate to, say make America great, bro, but it's so true, because it's like the whole concept was do what you got to do, don't hurt other people. And I guess to your point, Dan, this is where it gets so fuzzy. It's like, well, you are hurting other people. And it's like, well, not really. Like, it's just like, that's just such a weird argument to make. And I guess that's where all the arguing goes on, is like, but it's like, it's just too crazy, man. It's too crazy. I don't know. I mean, how many times we talk for our listeners, and I'm sure our listeners, even though it's few and far in between at this point, but it's like, how did COVID consumes everybody's life at some point, whether you're whatever your position is on COVID. It's like, how much of your day do you have to spend listening, hearing other people talk about COVID? It's like, at what point are we going to get to a society where like COVID is like 1% of the discussion, if that?
Yeah, that we might be a long way away from as far as predictions, but
that'd be pretty cool if you could like scrape the internet and see all conversations like across Twitter, whatever, news channels, and just to see how many times COVID pops up. Like what percentage?
Dude, I'm sure there's open source data scraping tools that do that very same thing. And like, man, I bet it's very high. Like,
that'd be nuts, dude.
Yeah, I'd like stop checking Facebook. I mean, I guess I kind of stopped checking Facebook a while ago, right? The only reason I haven't deleted it is because like I think the connections I have on there like could be useful down the line if I want to like reach out to someone who's like not have, or something like that. Other than that, I would totally delete my Facebook. It's it's a lot of data right there, and it's going in the wrong hands.
I hear you. Yeah, I like hadn't used Facebook in forever, and then I started using it for this clothing brand venture I'm doing. Actually, one of the sponsors of the podcast, the only sponsor, St. Falco. Pat, I got to show you, but I don't think I've shown it to you yet. I'll have to show you sometime. But yeah, let's kind of
wrap Instagram for a while.
What? Oh yeah, Pat. Well, let's wrap this on like a high note here. So like, because we're kind of reaching a little around that hour mark. Pat, what's that journey been like, staying off Instagram?
It's been interesting, man. Like I took a week off of Instagram, maybe week or so, like a month or two ago, and I mean it was great. Like I was more productive. Like I love the Instagram stuff is fun, but I think I told you guys about that. But it was really like a good experience. I felt like I was more engaged with my surroundings, and I spent more time. I was still talking to you guys a lot, and then this time around, I don't even know how long it's been. A few weeks, I don't know, but just I don't know. It's been a good experience. Like still thinking about deleting it, but I might honestly, but
yeah,
it's like nice not checking it. Like it feels good. Like it's weird.
A little more in the moment. Yeah, because I mean these apps are designed to be addicting, right? Like the social.
Dude, guys, I have a confession to make. TikTok.
Oh, really?
Oh no,
dude! So many people send me amazing content on TikTok, and like I've been thinking about making one for that very reason. Like
I have one for St. Falco, Dan, but dude, that is the most addicting one by far.
Oh gosh,
I'm not getting a TikTok.
That
scares me. Yeah. Let's pick up on this note then. Let's pick up on this convo and talk about St. Falco too.
Okay, yeah. We'll end on that. So Pat, for me, dude, I've wanted to create a clothing brand forever. It's just always, for me, I guess like now that I'm in my 30s, dude, work's going really well and stuff like that. And I've always had kind of that creator mindset. I think we all kind of do in our different dimensions, whether that's creating cybersecurity solutions or creating financial models, stuff like that. Well, we've always kind of been more on the nerdy side and not really on like the creative side in the sense. But I was just like, dude, similar to this podcast, I mean, this podcast is tiny. I mean, it has a very small reach. And, this is only the third one, but it's just like, why not, dude? It's just another outlet to like just express yourself. And, just like this podcast, all of these, dude, all the podcasts I had, like they start off a little like, kind of awkward because we're on camera, we're being filmed, but then it picks up and we're off to the races. And same with like this company I created, like this by no means is anything complicated, right? Now we've got a lot of products, Pat, and I could show you that some other time. I can just show you the website too.
Yeah.
Very simple shirt. Creating this design by far the hardest part, but like just like being able to like take something from your head, an idea, and then like actually be able to feel it.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It must be nice.
Such a
tangible, man. It's beautiful. It's right up your alley too, Andrew. You've always had really good fashion, no homo. Like you've always looked up to you in that sense.
Agree.
Actually, you do too. Actually, it's something I can work on, but you both have like really good.
I need to send you guys. I'm gonna get that after the podcast, guys. I just got these 6 sweatshirts in that I love. Like I love this thing. I wear it all the time. And I'm gonna send you guys some. I'm gonna send you guys.
That'd be fucking sweet, man.
Yeah,
the fuck out of that.
I'd love to hear y'all's feedback from it. But yeah, it's just been, Pat. It's just been another way, like for me, in the design space, like building out the website, the business side, just like understanding that, I think, it's been like I think my gross sales around $500 right now. A lot of that is friends and family, but like obviously I literally started like 2 months ago, and it's just cool to like. I love the analytics of it. I love like the understanding the conversion funnels, like what people are looking at, how they're finding your site, and then just having fun, like building products, testing it out, wearing it. I got to this point, Pat, where I was just like, I give Nike, I give Lululemon all this money. And now I will be fair to say my products aren't necessarily as comfortable as some of the Lululemon products. We're not at that point yet, so fair enough. But we'll get there. I just got to that point where I was just like, I'd rather just wear my own shit. Mm-hmm. And so far, I've been really happy with
I like that.
Yeah, there's been certain products that I what I'm used to, the quality is a little bit different. But it's just a game, right? It's just like, okay, that one maybe didn't work. Let's see what else we can do. So it's just been fun.
I love that.
Just having fun.
That's awesome. Dan, we got to start a company when we hit 30.
Yeah, 100%, man. Maybe before.
He's inspiring us yet again.
Yeah, I was telling Tommy was asking about it. He loved it, dude. He was like, dude, because he had wanted to start one, and I was like, dude, you can like that's the thing. I think we're all starting to realize that if we haven't already, like nobody's in your way, dude. Like we're all in the way of ourselves in so many ways. Right. Now, I'm not saying this is like some crazy brand or like that's not even really a goal of mine for it. I have different goals there, but it's like, dude, if you got an idea, if you want to try something, go do it. No one's stopping you. You're just stopping yourself. So right. If it's something you're interested in, go for it.
I love it, man.
That's a good note to end it on.
It's a great.
I can't wait to watch the evolution of St. Falco though, Andrew, and I can't wait to watch what it becomes, man. Because I know with you behind it, and the designs I've already seen are incredible, man. And it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah. It looks very like slick, like very like something that you'd want to like rock. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah. One thing you should kind of look into, Andrew, is like I bet you like the social media marketing. I mean, we kind of already touched on social media, but that's like, maybe I don't know if that like in early stages is good, but like that's probably something you want to look into because I think that's where a lot of people, like these targeted Instagram ads and stuff. I think we've all bought stuff. And
dude, Dan, that's such a good point, and I won't keep you guys too much longer, but just a little note on that because that's been super fun, Dan. Like that, like when when you're on Instagram, I know it's been a while, Pat, but you remember like you're flipping through, you see those ads like shop now. On Instagram, it's fascinating though because you have to have a certain reach. Like in other words, you have to have a certain amount of like followers before they let you start doing certain things. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet, Dan, because I haven't blown. You guys, Dan, I've talked to you about it, Pat. I'm pretty sure this is the first time you're kind of hearing about it. But I've been pretty like slow to like get the word out because I don't want to rush to market. I mean, technically you can go on the site and buy stuff now, but I didn't want to like blow up all my friends and be like, yo, give me a follow, please support, really put myself out there till I felt like I was at like that 90% level. And I'm getting really close to that. So my goal is by the holiday season here in the next month or so. But I didn't want to be like, yo, follow this shit, and then people are like, oh, I can't even buy something, or like, what is this? This looks half-assed. I just
I
want
like
to
that
make it look like a
strategy.
good spot. But
Yeah.
damn, that's the
It's like
game,
easing
man.
into it.
Yeah, exactly, Pat. I was like, no rush, man, no rush. I
It's
still
gonna
get
be
to
so
wear it.
exciting. 'Cause I feel like that's such a convoluted space, you know. I feel like it's very complex and there's a lot going on. Or maybe it's not, and I just haven't looked into it, you know. But yeah.
Nah, damn, you could figure it out, man.
Yeah.
We
Hell
all
yeah.
I mean, a lot of people make a living off that, right? Yeah.
yeah, allegedly. You always see those crazy YouTube things where people are like, I made $6 million in a month, and they sell like one thing, and you're like, all right, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Well,
right,
good shit,
boy.
boys.
Well, I'll let you guys go. Thank y'all so much, Pat, Danny. Appreciate you guys. We'll have to do this again sometime. All right.
Yeah. Let's make it sooner
100%.
than later, man. This was a pleasure.
I'm glad you
Yeah,
guys enjoyed it.
let's hit the group chat and figure out the next one.
Hell yeah. We'll do it in person sometime soon.
That'd be nice too.
All right, boys.
Much
All
love,
right,
boys.
take it easy, guys.
It was a great time talking to you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.